Aho, beautiful people. If you're wondering why I haven't made a video for so long, the reason is I have been super busy since the start of the year, and we really have come out of the doldrum of the year of the rabbit, which is yin water, and into the full-on power of the year of the dragon. It's been intense. So for most of January I was travelling around, going to meet all of the amazing ladies in my new Lakshmi mandala, and they're quite far flung, so I've been travelling all around the country, to London, to Glastonbury, to Leicestershire, down to Wales, and as far away as Spain and Portugal. And you know, it felt really important. I'm trained in feng shui. It felt really important to actually go and meet everyone in person in their home, to have a look at the feng shui of their home, and to really tune into their energy. And you know, it would have been so much easier to do it on Zoom, but I'm just really getting the power of real interaction, real life interaction with my fellow living man and woman. And then, of course, in January, there was suddenly a surprise by-election declared in Bakewell. And of course, it was kind of kept very quiet. I only found out about it quite by chance, but they don't give you much time from the announcement to the election. So the past, oh my goodness, month or so, I've been really devoted to that election campaign, you know, creating the leaflets, distributing the leaflet. A lot of them I did by hand. It is a lot of work, especially if you live in somewhere like Bakewell, where it's quite hilly and people are kind of up steps and up long driveways, to actually go around all of the houses and to hand deliver these leaflets. I did have some help, of course, and it was a very different turnout in this election. Not just the turnout of people, but only 34% I think turned out compared to 47% of the electorate last time. And last time there were 2 councillors, so there were 2 votes. Everyone had 2 votes. So last time I got 174 votes, I think, 176, something like that. I was kind of on a par with the 2 Liberal Democrat candidates. And then this time I only got 36, although to me it's quite a magical number, given that Tesla said that 3, 6 and 9 are all the key numbers of the universe. It was quite interesting because despite last time Conservatives having a massive lead, they got an overwhelming majority of the votes across their 2 candidates. This time Labour actually won it by 15 votes. Now, gosh, I'm going to have to switch hands actually, because I lost my selfie sticks, and well, one of them broke, and I lost 2 of them. So I'm having to do this by hand, and it's a lot more difficult to do this by hand, but I'm going to try my best. Hold on. Let's see if I can hold this in a better way. Yeah, so the interesting thing, if you work out the statistics, given the low turnout and the closeness between the 2 candidates, the Labour candidate actually won it on essentially 18% of the electorate. Now, if you were to count all of the residents of Bakewell, because not everyone's on the electoral register. I mean, for example, I've got 4 sons over the age of 18 and none of them are on the electoral register, so none of them voted for me. So if you were to kind of add those people in, you're probably talking about 10% of the people actually voted for this guy and 90% didn't. And it's so interesting to be involved in politics, because I don't think, unless you actually stand and you start getting involved and taking a close interest, it's not until then that you realise just how corrupt the system is, and how it doesn't truly represent the people. And also, of course, the main parties, the cons and the labs, they have a massive advantage because, of course, they've got huge party funds to be able to throw at it. So if you're an independent candidate like me, kind of scraping together resources as best you can, yeah, it's kind of there's overwhelming opposition. Just standing here by the entrance to the forest here. This is the Litton Frith forest. This is the entrance where there's a track that runs through the forest all the way up there to there were lead mines right at the northern end of this land. So on Saturday we cleared all this area of like fallen wood and brambles and stones, and it was a really beautiful day. Just on the land, such a stunning spot actually. This area right in the heart of Litton Frith Farm, our 53-acre piece of land here in Crestbrook Dale, which we love so much. And so anyway, going back to the election, so I only got 36 votes, and it was a massive decline on last time when I got 174 or whatever. And of course there was a bit of a Marianne Williamson-esque moment of, why bother, is it worth it? Just that feeling of like, maybe I should focus on something else, And so I put a poll out to my Telegram group, and it was quite interesting to see the results, because throughout the whole of the poll, as I was sort of watching the votes build, it was constantly at about 3-1, basically. 75% saying, yes, keep going, go for it, and 25% saying, don't bother. And there's a beautiful falcon just flying there. No, we just missed it. So yes, there was an overwhelming number saying, yeah, Rachel, keep going. And the reason why I have gone into politics is it's not because I particularly want a political career. It's because I see it as a channel for speaking truth and for pattern interrupting the legacy of the old red and blue Punch and Judy show. And of course, all of the mainstream media is now pretty much controlled or aligned. It's all owned by big corporations, which are aligned and controlled by the World Economic Forum, owned by BlackRock and Vanguard, and these big corporations, which have a huge influence over what is published and what is allowed to be published. And so, those of us who have been speaking out against a lot of these World Economic Forum policies, don't forget, these bodies like World Economic Forum and World Health Organization, they're unelected bodies. They're funded by big corporations, and they have agendas. The climate emergency agenda is absolutely promulgated by the World Economic Forum. The whole pandemic, fear being pumped in. I was reading an article, I think it was in The Sun, that camel flu is the latest thing that we need to be terrified of. And there was a World Health Organization list of the top 10 things that we need to fear, like SARS-CoV and bird flu and Asian flu and camel flu and Marburg. And I forget the exact names, but it was just like fear, 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 fear. It's so unhealthy to be in a state of fear, but the false matrix depends on fear, depends on anger, depends on chaos. It doesn't want peace and joy and happiness and well-being and vitality. There's no money to be made. There's no money to be made out of healthy people, folks. So anyone speaking out obviously gets silenced or smeared or both. Certainly I have, certainly many others who have, like doctors, scientists, commentators. We've all been smeared, we've all been silenced. So we have to find ways that we can communicate our message. And so I was just contemplating all of this, and I thought, 75% of people want me to do it, and are encouraging me. And I have to kind of go back to basics. Why am I doing this? And it occurred to me when I just sat down and sort of meditating on it at the weekend, that all of these things that I'm doing in my life, whether it's these videos, the people speak out, standing for election, everything that we're doing at Crestbrook Dale, they're all acts of devotion. You know, when you do something and there's no real statistical probability of winning, there's no real money to be made out of it, you know, when you do things because you believe in them, they become acts of devotion. And, you know, acts done out of love and from the heart. And, you know, the biggest act of devotion is actually being a mother. I mean, I'm a mother of 5 sons, and I was thinking about this. I mean, it's being a mother is a real act of devotion, of all of that, you know, years and years of giving. Let's just cross over the brook here. It's always nice to go over the brook because the energy, the chi is so pristine here, and still fast flowing. So we literally are at source here. So we're now over on the eastern side of the dale. We're in the nature reserve now, but it's a nice way to look at the land. Our forest extends right to the north, about another 250 yards to the north of where I am. So it's always nice to walk through here. And we're very low down, next to the brook. No mobile signal, very pristine, very little contamination for whether it's 5G or radio waves or signals or toxins or everything's very pure. It's very, very, you can feel how pristine the chi is. Let's just show you the brook. It's a better view. There's the forest up to the skyline. So it's very salving and healing for my soul to come out into nature and to be able to walk this land. So yeah, acts of devotion. I mean, another act of devotion is having a dog like Kobe. You know, tending to him every day, walking him every day, feeding him. I've started to actually cook him little, rather than buy him sort of Caesar and dog food. I've taken to cooking him little kind of like roast chicken with rice and roasted carrots and parsnips, you know, diced very finely. No oil, no salt, just very pure little roast. I cook them in batches. And it's actually, if you buy something like a big pack of chicken thighs from Aldi, maybe not the most organic meat in the world, but you can make a whole batch of little dog food meals for actually less than it costs to buy a whole pack of Caesar or something. Yeah, so having a pet is an act of devotion. And just all of that, you know, just doing something just through pure love, you know. So it occurred to me when I was contemplating acts of devotion, it is one of the many ways for us to break the false matrix, because if you're prepared to do something out of love, from the heart, with no prospect of winning, with no prospect of any financial reward, but you're still prepared to do it, then that's actually quite dangerous. It's quite dangerous to the system that relies on winning and competition and money. So on I go. I'm standing for the Mayor of East Midlands on the 2nd of May. And the reason why that election is particularly important is to understand the reason why these combined county authorities have been set up in the first place. Because what they essentially are doing is creating another layer of government between the local councils and Westminster. And the way that they have kind of won the support of these councils, all of which are either bankrupt or pretty much on the financial edge, shall we say. I mean, Birmingham City Council, I think, is bankrupt. Derbyshire County Council is certainly, I think it was 40 million in the red last time I looked, something about that. So the way that the government have done it is they've dangled this huge carrot of this, it's £38 million per annum for 30 years, across 30 years. So it's over £1 billion worth of funding that they're dangling as a carrot for improving infrastructure and creating affordable housing and encouraging enterprise. And so it's a huge carrot that they've dangled to get these county councils to agree to this combined local authority, which will be headed up by the mayor. Now, the interesting thing is that this combined council authority has got the leaders of the council on, and then the mayor, and so they would need to vote on what is done with the money, what's spent, how the money's spent. But the important thing about the mayor position, the mayor does not have the power to push anything through, as I understand it, although they would have a strong mandate from the people. But the mayor has the power of veto, so the mayor can block. And that is why it is so important that there is an independent mayor that is not tied to the Conservative and Labour parties. Because both Conservative and Labour, both are dancing to the tune of Davos and the World Economic Forum. And I will put a link to, in fact, maybe I will stitch in to this video the little clip of Keir Starmer when he was asked by, I think it's Emily Maitlis, whether Davos or Westminster, and he said, oh yeah, Davos.
Quickly, you have to choose now between Davos or Westminster.
Davos.
Why?
Because Westminster is too constrained, and it's closed, and we're not having meaning. Once you get out of Westminster, whether it's Davos or anywhere else, you actually engage with people that you can see working with in the future. Westminster is just a tribal shouting place.
Both Conservative and Labour, I mean, they've changed beyond recognition. I mean, when I was a girl, you kind of knew where you stood when it was the years of sort of Margaret Thatcher, and then you had, obviously, you had Labour very much being there for the rights of the worker, whereas now Keir Starmer is very much wanting to ingratiate himself with the big corporations. And, his stance on things like COVID and lockdown would have been even more stringent than actually happened under the Tories. But what I'm saying is, in essence, that both Conservative and Labour are wings of the same World Economic Forum vampire. I called them in my campaign literature vulture, vampire. I used to say bird, but someone said no, it's more like a vampire. Just pause a second here. So this is actually the northern end of our land. You can see on the other side there, I don't know if you can see that wall. There we go. There's a dry stone. It's difficult for me to point in reverse mode on this camera, but there's a moss-covered dry stone wall there. That's the northern boundary of our land, the forest on the other side, which goes from the brook up to the skyline. So it's challenging to walk that land because there's a lot of fallen trees across the track which runs all the way through the forest to the old lead mines. We haven't actually found the lead mines yet, but we're sure that at some point we will find them. And lead mines you can see some further up the Dale. They're actually built into the side. They're not like a vertical shaft, as you would imagine, like with a coal mine. They're more built into the side of a hill, where they've tunnelled in and they've extricated the lead. And there's a lot of lead mining in the Peak District generally. And, we have had the water tested here, the Ravensdale Spring, because obviously that was a concern whether it had lead contamination. But there was no lead in it. So we're quite happy that the water here is not contaminated. So the lead is buried deep in these limestone cliffs. Yeah. So back to East Midlands Mayor. So it's very important that we have an independent mayor who can veto, because of course what is going to happen with this money, and this is the plan behind it, this devolution and this huge pot of money, if we're not careful, will just go straight into climate emergency, use that with inverted commas, schemes introduced for the, we've got to save the planet, we've got to save the environment. Well, actually, if you look at ULEZ, ULEZ cost the people, just in 1 year, someone did a Freedom of Information request. I think it was £225 million was extricated from the people in charges and fines for using the public highways of London, which of course the people own. So in truth, these schemes are unlawful because we the people own the public highways, and actually no government or local authority has the right to stop us using public highways, to charge us for using public highways, to fine us for using public highways. It's completely unlawful. But the danger is that if we have a mayor who is either Conservative or Labour, there will be no one to veto more ULEZ. 15-minute cities is another major policy of World Economic Forum. You may or may not be aware of I think it's called the C40 collection of global mayors. There's a whole initiative to create 15-minute cities worldwide. And of course, all of these mayors are aligned to the World Economic Forum. So the challenge that we have is that this combined county authority with this new mayor, if they are elected as if we have a Conservative or Labour mayor, that what we will see throughout the whole of Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire is more ULEZ type schemes, 15-minute city schemes. Imagine places like Nottingham and Derby, Bourne, Chesterfield, these big cities within this area, basically locked down through this digital totalitarian control systems, and that's what they are, which will stop you from, which will deny you of your right. I was going to say human rights, so that I prefer to say common law rights, because human is a word from Black's Law Dictionary, meaning, in essence, meaning monster. It's a kind of fabrication. So that's why I prefer to say the free man and woman of the land from exercising their common law rights. It's our common law right to walk the public footpaths, to walk the public highways. That's why we've always completely respected at Crestbrook Dale. We've always completely respected everyone's right to walk the public footpaths here. And it's really actually quite sweet when people are walking through and people are coming through with their dogs, and then people sit down and have a sandwich, and you see the children playing, and it's really beautiful. Why would you want to stop the people from enjoying this beautiful dale? So we've never wished to prevent anyone from enjoying the dale. We're simply asking, all we've asked ever is for our rights as landowners to be respected, and those private parts of the land that are not, where there is no public footpath or established common law right to roam, we just ask that, those private areas are respected in the same way that you respect someone's garden, and that our property is respected. So, don't steal our stuff, and don't destroy our stuff. I mean, these are really simple, basic, fundamental common law principles to cause no harm, injury or loss to your fellow man and woman. So that's always where I'm coming from. And it feels to me important. It feels important to be involved in projects like Crestbrook Dale. It feels important to me to stand for election as East Midlands Mayor. I don't have any interest particularly in a political career. It's highly unlikely that I will win, but at least it creates awareness. It creates awareness amongst the people of what is coming. And if we create awareness, we can pattern interrupt it. Because if enough people say, no, we do not consent, then these things can't be bulldozed through. But unfortunately, as we saw with COVID, we've kind of been sleepwalking. And I think a lot of people are waking up now to the fact that our common law rights have been violated, hugely violated. And there's enough people now all over the world who are speaking out, and they can't silence everyone, you know. So, yes, as I say, acts of devotion, you know, making that decision to opt out of the digital world and actually go and visit someone in person rather than just saying, oh, let's just do it on Zoom, you know. And actually encouraging people to come. Hold on, let's cross back over the brook. Yeah, encouraging everyone to come here to Crestbrook Dale to experience the beauty and magic and pristine chi of it for yourself, to come and help us on the land to do clearing and soaring, and it's just so beautiful to be here. And it's really interesting on Saturday because there's no kind of desire to kind of check into your mobile phone or what's happening on social media, because there's something about working on the land which just becomes sort of all engrossing, and it's very, it's great exercise, and it just feels really satisfying, even just clearing a simple little area. And one of the things that we've been doing here is everywhere we go, we're finding huge amounts of limestone rocks from old walls that have fallen down and just scattered across the land. I mean, natural, loads of, you'll see here, the whole of these, the brook is bordered, this land is bordered by a very ancient limestone wall, dry limestone wall. And of course, this is the natural rock of the land. So it's everywhere. You'll see it here in this path. It's embedded with limestone. So what we're doing is we're gathering all the limestone as we clear into piles, and we'll be using it to build our interfaith chapel for peace on the site where the building on the land, on a 19th century map we've discovered near to the limestone reservoir which we uncovered. There was also a building on the land, and so we've cleared away all of the brambles that were covering that, and that is our intention, to create a really beautiful interfaith chapel for peace that people can come and sit, meditate, get out of the rain, sit and contemplate, and goodness knows how long it will take us to do that. But again, it's another act of devotion, nothing that is going to make us money or that we would charge for, just a beautiful act of devotion to create something of a magical space on this magical land for all the people to enjoy. And you do see chapels built in the most beautiful places. I remember as a young girl being taken on a little road trip. I used to go to St Sed's school in Essex. That was my junior school, and they took us on this it was like a little pilgrimage, a school trip, but it felt like a pilgrimage looking back to St Sed's Chapel, which is out on the coast. I think it's kind of Malden way, Southend-on-Sea way. This beautiful little stone chapel, brick chapel actually, because the natural, there's a lot of clay in East Anglia, so I think from memory it was brick. So you see a lot of red brick buildings in Essex for that reason, for the London clay and the Essex clay. baked in an oven to make red bricks. Whereas up here it's limestone. This is a limestone gorge. So it will be beautiful to use natural materials and the fallen wood from the forest to create a really amazing space for contemplation and as a gift for future generations, because I do believe we are now, like it or not, a part of the history of Crestbrook and Crestbrook Dale. So sending you lots of love, and please do share this video, especially with anyone who you know who may live in Derbyshire or Nottinghamshire, which are the two regions of the East Midlands Mayor area, where I think about just over 1 million people will be voting on the 2nd of May. So it would be good to have your support and to energise my campaign of truth. And if you are able to support me in any way, whether that's through any form of help, through sharing the message, or if you're able to support my election campaign, because it costs thousands of pounds to stand and to do election campaigns properly, then please, that would be so welcome. And I just have to trust that all of the resources, all of the support that I need will magically show up with this act of devotion. So sending you lots of love and have a great day. Speak to you soon. Bye for now. And it feels important to add that all of the ladies, the Lakshmi ladies who made the pilgrimage to my home on Saturday the 10th of February, on the new moon, on the first day of the Year of the Dragon, that also was an act of devotion, which was hugely appreciated. It's so powerful to when we gather together in circle, in person, to share from the heart around a central altar, and to share food together, and laughter and song and drumming, and sharing gifts for one another, and making offerings to the altar and to the river afterwards. So another beautiful act of devotion, which I would really love to express gratitude for and to celebrate. Bye for now.